How to make a generic method in Python to execute multiple piped shell commands. I have many shell commands that need to be executed in my Python script. I know that I shouldn't use shell equals true, as mentioned here, and that I can use the std outputs and inputs in case when I have pipes in the command, as mentioned here. But the problem is that my shell commands are complex and full of pipes, so I like to make a generic method to be used by my script. I made a small test below, but it's hanging after printing the result. I simplified just to put here. Can somebody please let me know why it's hanging? If there's a better method of doing this. Thanks. PS, this is just a small portion of a big Python project and there are business reasons why I'm trying to do this. Thanks.
Instead of using a shell string and trying to parse it with your own means, I'd ask the user to provide the commands as separate entities themselves. This avoids the obvious trap of detecting a that is part of a command and not used as a shell pipe. That you ask them to provide commands as a list of strings, or a single string that you will shlex.split afterwards, is up to the interface that you want to expose. I'd choose the first one for its simplicity in the following example. Once you have the individual commands, a simple for loop is enough to pipe outputs of the previous commands to inputs of the next ones, as you have found yourself. Usage being. Now this is a quick and dirty way to get it set up and have seemingly work as you want it. But there are at least two issues with this code. You leak zombies process/open process handles because no process exit code but the last one is collected. And the OS is keeping resources open for you to do so. You can't access the informations of a process that would fail midway through. To avoid that, you need to maintain a list of open process and explicitly wait for each of them. And because I don't know your exact use case, I'll just return the first process that failed, if any, or the last process, if not, so you can act accordingly. I also thrown in some shlex as an example so you can mix raw strings and already parsed lists.
This unfortunately has a few edge cases in it that the shell takes care of for you, or alternatively, that the shell completely ignores for you. Some concerns. The function should always wait for every process to finish, or else you will get what are called zombie processes. The commands should be connected to each other using real pipes, that way the entire output doesn't need to be read into memory at once. This is the normal way pipes work. The read end of every pipe should be closed in the parent process, so children can properly sig pipe when the next process closes its input. Without this, the parent process can keep the pipe open and the child does not know to exit, and it may run forever. Errors in child processes should be raised as exceptions, except sig pipe. It is left as an exercise to the reader to raise exceptions for sig pipe on the final process because sig pipe is not expected there, but ignoring it is not harmful. Note that subprocess.devnull does not exist prior to Python 3.3. I know there are some of you out there still living with 2.x. You will have to open a file for /dev/null manually or just decide that the first process in the pipeline gets to share stin with the parent process. Here is the code. Here we can see it in action. You can see that the pipeline correctly terminates with yes, which runs until sig pipe, and correctly fails with false, which always fails.
processes which